Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, your Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This is your brother Aram Yehowadah with the lesson. Yeah, so this is a lesson I stumbled upon this morning. And I actually live in Arizona. And this is pretty good news. It's pretty good news, so to speak, because that means this kingdom is it's on its way out, right? And but then it also puts the fear of the Most High in you too, because you got to think of how the Most High has blessed us, man. So so this is homelessness. Population explodes in Phoenix, right? It is worse than you think, right? Yeah, and obviously so. Because, I knew we had... Because, I grew up, in Phoenix, I lived on the east side where that's where you usually see homelessness. You see the homelessness, you see the prostitution, you see the drug-infested people and things like... I grew up seeing that, my whole life. And you can go to other places in Phoenix and not see homelessness. But I guess this guy is showing how it's exploding, which I have noticed when you go to certain places, you are starting to see homeless people in places that you would have never seen before, right? But yeah, let's go ahead without further ado. Fair use.
This is Daily Homeless News, where tell the stories no one else will. Arizona, a state known for its breathtaking landscapes and rapidly growing cities, homelessness has become a pressing challenge that deserves serious attention. Today, we'll help raise awareness about the realities facing those living without shelter, delve into root causes, examine current conditions, explore broader impacts on individuals and communities, and highlight potential solutions that offer hope. And if you want to know more about homelessness in any other area or city, please tell us. In the comments, Belo, we just might cover it next. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to discover more stories from the shadow society that not everyone knows. The current landscape of homelessness in Arizona. Arizona is now facing one of the most rapidly expanding homeless populations in the nation. In cities like Phoenix, the number of individuals living in street encampments has surged by nearly 450%, forming densely populated. One such area, known today as the Zone, formerly called Thunderdome, has grown to host close to 1,000 unsheltered people over the last 10 years. These staggering numbers point to an urgent demand for real solutions and stronger support systems. Adding to the crisis, recent data ranks Arizona 13th nationwide for the number of human trafficking tips, with 651 reports involving hundreds of victims each year. The state's dark undercurrent of commercial sexual exploitation brings in millions in illicit profits annually, further complicating the already dire homelessness situation. You think this is some remote suburb? Not at all. This is the exact city center where hundreds of homeless people are struggling to survive in the middle of all the urban glamour. Phoenix's The Zone, now ominously dubbed the Danger Zone, stands as a stark symbol of Arizona's deepening homelessness crisis. Despite ongoing crackdowns aimed at clearing encampments, the root causes remain unresolved, fueling a relentless cycle of displacement and return. Even Scottsdale, known for its wealth and polished image, has witnessed a noticeable uptick in homelessness as rising costs force people out of pricier neighborhoods. These concentrated areas evolve into visible hubs of the crisis, where those affected are more apparent, yet still face the same systemic challenges seen throughout the state. Homeless individuals in Arizona often face incredibly harsh living conditions. Many are left to battle scorching heat with minimal access to clean drinking water and nutritious meals. Daily life is fraught with dangers, including the constant risk of violence and theft. Without stable housing, maintaining hygiene, and ensuring personal safety becomes a constant challenge, taking a serious toll on their overall well-being. Recent reports reveal that nearly 1,000 people are living unsheltered in densely populated areas, struggling every day with hardships that go far beyond simply being without a roof over their heads. So join us in exploring Ricky's story to gain a deeper understanding of the real situation facing homeless individuals in Arizona. Ricky currently lives in a tent encampment in Phoenix, Arizona, where life is extremely harsh and filled with deprivation. He endures scorching heat with summer temperatures regularly exceeding 40 DC and has no access to electricity or clean water. Each day, Ricky struggles to find food, drinking water, and basic necessities. Without proper restrooms or sanitation facilities, he and other homeless residents live in unsanitary conditions, surrounded by trash, and at constant risk of disease. At night, he sleeps beneath thin tarps, which provide little protection from the dangers around him. Despite facing these severe hardships and shortages, Ricky still holds on to hope that he will soon find stable housing, acquire a car, and gradually rebuild his life to reunite with his son. Causes of homelessness in Arizona. One of the leading causes of homelessness in Arizona is the steep rise in housing costs. In recent years, both rent and home prices have soared, making it increasingly challenging for low-income individuals and families to find affordable places to live. In Phoenix, for instance, rental rates have jumped an astonishing 177% over the past year alone, putting immense pressure on residents' finances. This sharp increase often leaves people facing impossible choices between paying for housing or covering basic necessities like food and medical care, ultimately pushing many to the brink of homelessness. The lack of affordable housing continues to intensify the crisis. With few low-cost housing options available, countless individuals are forced to either live on the streets or rely on temporary shelters. The construction of affordable homes hasn't been able to keep up with the rising demand, creating a severe shortage that demands immediate action. On top of that, zoning restrictions and strict building regulations in several Arizona cities make it even harder to build affordable housing, further shrinking the options for those most in need. Arizona's surging population is another key factor fueling the crisis. As more individuals flock to the state in search of economic prospects and a warm, sunny climate, the demand for housing continues to rise, often outpacing the available supply. This steady influx of new residents adds strain to an already stretched housing market, sending prices soaring and increasing the number of people facing homelessness. Cities such as Phoenix and Tucson have experienced dramatic population spikes, leading to overcrowded markets and a severe shortage of affordable housing options. Substance abuse continues to be a major concern within Arizona's homeless community. Struggling with addiction makes it even more difficult for individuals to secure and maintain stable housing, while also increasing their risk of becoming entangled in criminal behavior. On top of that, mental health disorders and domestic violence add extra layers of hardship, making it even harder for people to break free from the cycle of poverty and instability. The overlap between addiction and homelessness forms a deeply tangled crisis, one that demands thoughtful, wide-ranging solutions. A major obstacle in the fight against homelessness is the lack of accessible, well-rounded support service. Countless individuals are unable to obtain vital resources such as health care, mental health care, and job training opportunities. Without these critical tools, rebuilding their lives, finding steady work, and securing long-term housing becomes nearly impossible. On top of that, complicated bureaucratic processes and insufficient funding further weaken the impact of current programs, leaving many homeless people without the meaningful support they need to change their situation.
Yeah, so this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities, right? So you have these homelessness pretty much in every city, right? You got the Skid Row in LA, which LA is only about a 5-hour or 6-hour drive from Phoenix. You got Phoenix being what do you call it? The terror zone, or the something like that, right? With all the homeless, you got these different places that homeless is big. I believe it's big in Philadelphia. San Francisco? Basically, in all these different cities, homelessness is a huge thing. And then right now, what they're doing is they're making it. All these cities are passing law or ordinance, pretty much what they did in slavery, right? They're gonna pass these loitering laws, right? And these loitering laws, which when you don't have a place to go, you're homeless, right? But it's automatically gonna make you basically a criminal, which that's why they're taking away the thing for the due process, right? Right. Says and then when they do that, of course, people are gonna be like, what? They're gonna fight back, and so the great insurrection upon those that fear Yahweh. And really, this is a aim towards the Israelites, right? Because they have to push the charagma, the karax, grapho, right, which is the CHIP, right, which is the biometrics, right, where you cannot buy or sell and save. You have the MARK, right, which is charagma, karax, grapho, right, which has all your information upon it. You know, your birth date, your your arrest records, your dental records, what you're allergic to, what you're not allergic to, what you bought, what you sold. Because it says you can't buy or sell, right? So you may sell some items, trading, so you can make a little money or something, right? But you still have to have that MARK, right? Which is the charagma, karax, grapho, right? Which that grapho meaning it basically like a motherboard that has all your information upon it, right? It says they shall be like madmen, right? Which is talking about the army, the military, right? The police, the hired hitmen that they bring from other countries, right? They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling. Spoiling means to rob, to take from you, right? And to destroy those that fear Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, for, and which a lot of you don't fear the Most High. But like I said, it's an aim. It's to lump everybody up in one thing for re-education, right? In case you get any ideas last minute, right? Which we are going to have the last hour, the 11th hour, where a lot of people are going to come in, especially under this time of great insurrection. A lot of people are going to come in and understand, these are the men of the Lord, right? Which actually this is going to tell you, right? It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. So a lot of people are going to be homeless. This is a time that a lot of people are going to be homeless, right? It says, then shall they know, right? And so when all this happens, right, the Lord is going to lift up a standard, right? Then shall they know who are my chosen. And that's when they're going to understand, hey, that the Most High, this ain't a fairy tale book. This ain't reading Harry Potter, or this ain't, what's one of them other famous books? I don't know, some type of romantic novel. And you just only thing you could do is read and fantasize about, I wish only if I had a guy that would come and sweep me off my feet, and these, or you read some of these things and you wish you could do, the magic tricks and things that Harry Potter does, and you wish you could, the things you used to do when you were a kid. I remember watching movies like that when I was a kid. Like, dang, that's cool. He just took the magic wand and did this and made this. That'd be cool. Only if I could do that in real life, that'd be tight. And it's just a book that you could read and you can only imagine things to happen, but it'll never happen that way. But this, it ain't that book. These things are living and popping off the page and actually in real time, right? As Esau call it, his system, everything he stamps, and it's real time data. And real time data, this is happening, man. All in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? So you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians better wake the freak up, man. But it's gonna come a time that, hey, then shall they know who are my chosen, and we're gonna know who are not the Most High's chosen, right? Which are you 2/3, and they're gonna get busy on you, right? It says, and they shall try. They shall be tried as the gold in the fire, man. So everybody's gonna get their test, man. No one escapes, right? Because we all sin. But even though the Lord chose us, you're gonna have to get purged. You're gonna have to get judged on some type of level. But the difference between your judgment and other people's judgment, the Lord's gonna make sure that you make it out of it, just like He did David, right? David did 2 sins unto death, pretty much in the same thing, back to back to back. But the Lord preserved him. Why? Because he's the Lord's chosen. He's his chosen, right? It's his chosen vessel. He's a man after his own heart, right? And that's ultimately what we aim to be, man. Right? Wait, here it is, right? Hear ye, my beloved. See, right? And I believe a brother said that's what that goes back to, like beloved, David's name, and that's what we're trying to be, beloved. Saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be not afraid, nor doubt. See, and that's where we're at. We're in that mind frame. We're not doubting, for the power of the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is your guide, man. And he's ultimately guiding us, right? And it says, and the guide of them who keep his commandments and precepts, saith Yahweh, the outer one, power of the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquity lift up themselves, right? And that's ultimately what we're doing, man. Staying in these epistles, highways and the byways, praying, right? Exhortations, lifting up brothers' spirits, lifting up our own spirit, to water to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, right? For everything he's done and giving him praise, right? But it's coming a time The point was they're gonna cast many out of their houses, right? Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 51 verse 20, right? Because since let me go ahead and do it. It says thy sons, right, and daughters, right? You're dealing with all these different homeless people, and most of these be Jakes. You Israelites, right? Even the ones that look like Edomites, a lot of them are actually Israelites, right? Because this is called Jacob's trouble, Yaquab's trouble, right? You so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian Israelite foreigners who phenotype that look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel, right? This is that time, right? They lie at the head of all the streets, right? So when you deal with these places where these homeless encampments are at, they're in every city and they're on every little street corner, right? As a wild bull in a net, right? So you're just trapped, right? And that's ultimately where you at. You're trapped in your condition. Like even what the guy was basically saying, a lot of them are, they end up being on drugs or have some type of mental condition, which there's no job, what's it called? Job training course, which that ain't gonna make a difference anyway, because they're bringing in the AI, which no matter how much training you have, no matter how much education you have, it don't make a difference. You can never outwork a machine who don't get sick, who don't get tired, who don't need to go to sleep. You're never gonna outwork a machine, right? And then of course they got their little bootlickers, the people who's gonna come from other countries, or even the Jakes that just bow down, right? Those that get the charagma, right? You're not gonna be on the level of these folks, right? If you do make it in, but most of the time they're looking to hire, Elam, all these different foreigners, right? They're bringing in the South Africans, right? So those are the people they're going to give the jobs to, right? So while you're in a trap, you're in the ghettos, right? Because that's ultimately what corner means, right? Because when you go into the head of all the streets, talking about the corner, right? And the corner, right? It is stated that it's a ghetto, and it's the place where the Jews are at, right? The ghetto, right? Well, yeah, just look it up, because I was going to look it up real quick. I'm trying to make this a quick lesson if I can. It says they are full of the fury of Yahweh, right? And then ultimately you're in that low condition, right? Out there in Skid Row, or what do they call? What did dude say it was for Phoenix? Something about terror zone or something like that. Something zone, right? Which basically he said was just called the zone, but now it's like terror zone or something like that, which means it's starting to get dangerous. It's starting to get scary, right? And that's what's about to happen to this place all over the world. It's about to get scary all over America and all over the world, right? And it's all because it's the fury of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, the rebuke of thy power, right? And that's why you're in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations. That's why you're in the heads of all the streets, which are the ghettos. You're out there homeless, and it's about to get more. It's about to be more homeless. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. This is just from the Entomology Online. It says ghetto 1610s, part of a city in which the Jews are compelled to live, especially in Italy, from Italian ghetto, right? So, and then if you come all the way down to the bottom, it tells you that word ghetto was extended by 1899 to crowded urban, right? And that's where they say you live at, in urban areas, urban quarters of other minority groups, especially blacks in the U.S. cities, as an objective by 1903 modern slang usage from 1999 Ghetto Blaster, a large portable stereo cassette player, is from 1982, right? So let's go back up here and it says, it says a part of the city which the Jews are restricted. So we're restricted to the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations, right? It says unknown origins, right? Variants, theories trace it to the Yiddish. So this is the Yiddish is those small hatters, right? The ones that call themselves Israeli, right? When the Bible speaks about Israelites, right? The small hat, big nose people, right? That's them. That's the Yiddish, but it's unknown where it come from. Get deed, it's separation, right? Especially, let's see how they say that. Venetian, however it is. Venetian. Then you got the other things, and that's basically it. It's the people from the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations, right? Yeah. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. It says, woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies, right? And you're Republican, you're Democrat, and they're looking out for the best interest of the American people is a lie, right? Trump getting up there telling you he's gonna do the tariffs and you're gonna have more money than you could ever spend is a lie. That's for the elite. Yeah, the elite is gonna have more money to spend than they can ever spend through the tariffs. Just like it was the greatest wealth transfer since was it the CV-19, and then there was one that was a great wealth transfer back during the time of the Great Depression. Those were all wealth transfers, making the rich richer and the poor poorer. And now you're about to really actually see those were just terms people said, but you're about to feel the reality of those of that I don't know, it's a saying, right? I don't know how to say it's a word. It's where come, but it says the noise of the whip and the noise of the rattling wheel and the prancing horses and the jumping chariots, right? So basically the hustle and bustle of America, right? The jobs, everything is it's slowing down, right? It's kind of hard to find jobs, right? And when people figure out that this whole thing is a lie, they're gonna erupt in what they're gonna be out there rioting, looting, doing whatever, right? And then of course they got to bring in that the police and the military. It says the horsemen lifted up both bright sword and glittering spear, right? Because that's basically the police and what is it, National Guard or whatever type of military they're gonna bring in during when people realize the jobs are gone, the American dream is gone. These things are all lies, right? They're gonna have to bring in their military, their police, and all this thing, and they're gonna bring in and of course they're gonna bring in their guns and their swords and things like that. Which the modern day sword is the gun, right? It says and the bright and the glittering spear, right? Like the rifles, right? Shoot them from far away, right? And there is a multitude of slain, and that's what's going to happen. Multitude of people are going to be slain when they realize there ain't no more jobs. The American dream is gone. It's all full of lies. It's all BS. It's full of robbery, robbing from the people, taking your jobs, giving it to the South Africans, giving it to Elam, giving it to the AI, and then still making you pay for everything that you do. You're taxed on everything you do. So you're just restricted, right? And now these self-proclaimed so-called white people, they're gonna feel like how we feel, right? They're gonna understand it a little bit, not much. They're gonna understand it though, right? Because their elite is not showing any pity upon them either, right? Like the guy who got knocked down at the airport. He said, "You're treating me like a black guy," right? It says and great number of carcasses, there is none end of their carcasses, right? So it's going to be a lot of people slain, killed, right? And this is part of the great judgment. The Lord said there should be the slain of the Lord shall be many from one end of the earth even to the other. But this is talking about America, so it's going to be the slain is going to be from one end of America to the other, right? You have a great manifest destiny waiting on you, because and there is no end of the carcasses. They stumble upon their carcasses, man. It's going to be a lot of people going to die out here, man. And they're going to bring in that famine. They're going to bring in more pestilence, right? Having that military here. What is it called? Martial law, right? It says, because of the multitude of the whoredom of the well-favored harlot, which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, which is that bloody city, right? Which is also spiritually known as Sodom, as Egypt, as Syria, and also Nineveh, right? Because that's what this thing is going to show you, that this is also known as Nineveh, America. It says the well-favored harlot, who the mistress of witchcraft, and that's all they've been doing. Been putting these witchcraft spells on you, putting up commercials and this and that and all these different things, pushing forth agendas. So they allow Biden to bring in all the immigrants, but it was for agenda. So Trump could come in, because they knew they were going to put him as president, so he could come in and say, I'm going to be stern tough on the border. But then it's all to push in the digital ID, to bring in the digital dollar, to bring in the Karagma, Karax, Graffo. It's all trickery. They're it's a thing in ranching. It's called corralling, right? Corral them, right? And that's what they're doing. They're basically letting things circle you in, and it's gonna box you in. It's gonna put you in a thing where you can't move. You're gonna be in the stalls, which that's what the Lord said, that my people should be as matter of fact. Let's get that, because that's what's gonna happen to you, right? And that's what they're using, that witchcraft to bring you to the stalls, right? Matter of fact, so it's basically like being brought. They're corralling you, bring you to right where so you could be slaughtered. So it says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, right? Right, and it's pretty much like they're doing. They corral you and lead you to like the place where you, like the stalls, right? A good visual to that is I don't know if you've been to the McDonald's lately, but they have those little screens where you order from, and each one is like a little slit. It's like a stall, right? Bring you to where eventually they're gonna have it where you're not gonna be able to put a credit card in there. You're not gonna be able to put your money in there, because they have it where you can put your money, your cash, or your debit card. But pretty soon you're just gonna have to just swipe your hand. That's the only way you can do it, leading you as a flock to the slaughter, or to the stalls, which to be slaughtered, right? Leads you as a flock to the slaughter, and I will not suffer them down to dwell in the land of Egypt, right? Which is basically, this place is spiritually Egypt also. America, Babylon the Great. It's also spiritually known as Egypt. But I will bring them with the mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, right? And the same thing happened in Egypt. All of a sudden, everything was the regular thing, hustle and bustle, day in and day out. But the Lord sent Aaron and Moses to say, hey, let my people go. All of a sudden, all work stopped, right? Right? No, it didn't completely stop, but it slowed down, right? And they made it hard. They made the conditions hard, because we wanted to be let free, right? And I will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof, right? So this is Exodus chapter 5, verse 10. And the taskmasters of the people, right? Which you got, you got your, Trump, the king, the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, the king of Babylon, right? The king of Nineveh, right? The king of Assyria. That's this guy. He's all these things, right? He's a lofty, guy, man. He likes to put his stole himself on high, which that's a good place for him to be, because that's the place that's about to be destroyed, right? The Lord says He's going to send plagues on Egypt as before. See, since He, and so that's them. They send it for these things, you know these billionaires, these millionaires, these things, the people who are supposed to allow to hire for jobs and this and that, and they're taking their jobs out of America, taking them into other countries or whatever they're doing, right? Breaking down the economy, and it says that, and the taskmasters of the people went out, right? And their officers, and they spake to the people, saying, thus saith the Pharaoh, right? The king, I will not give you straw. So he said, look, I'm not going to give you these, I ain't going to make your job easy anymore, right? And that's ultimately what they're saying now, right? They're taking away all the jobs. They're going to give it, what they are going to have, they're going to give it to the South Africans. They're going to give it to Elam, right? The so-called South African, because the Edomite can never be a true person, because that's what they say. And they don't consider them to be African, right? You're just some Edomites that came and stole the land. You're just, you're a colonizer. That's it, right? The South African colonizers, right? Right? Elam and the goddamn machines to give them jobs. And if you do find a job or this and that, it's showing you, right, as of now, it is very hard to find jobs. So he said, I'm not going to give you straw. Go ye get straw where you can find it. So so the Lord is requiring for us to come out of this modern day Egypt, right out of the land of the north, right, or it should be no more said, the Lord had brought us out of the land of Egypt, but out of the land of the north. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get brought up out of the land of the north. So in the same conditions, He's trying to make it tough on us, right? It says, go ye get straw where ye can find it, yet your work shall not be diminished, right? So and it ain't that our work ain't diminished, but your bills don't go away. So they're making it hard for you not to work easy 9 to 5, but your bills don't go away, right? You still have to live. You still have to pay all these bills, and somehow they're not coming down on the price. These lawfully billionaires, they could take a hit on the tariffs. They might as well pay the tariffs and make sure that the American society goes on. But they're not going to do that, because that's not part of the Most High's plan, nor their plan. It's the plan that the Most High, and they don't realize it's the plan that the Most High gave them through Satan, right? So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt, right? And people are scattered all over America, and people are moving from California over into Arizona and Texas and this and that, and then whatever catastrophe happens somewhere else, what was it, Ohio or wherever it was, they moving from Ohio and whatever it is and moving to over here, you know what I mean? And people are scattered all over America, right? Which is Egypt, spiritually Egypt, right? And this is ancient Egypt, but just showing you some of the things of what the old original Pharaoh was doing is pretty much no different than what this Pharaoh is doing now. The spiritual Egyptian Pharaoh is doing now. He's making it tough on you to so-called provide or go on with your life, right? But not understanding that makes you want to leave more, right? You realize this is not, and then ultimately that's when a lot of jakes are going to come into the fold, because they're going to actually realize, damn, this ain't our rest, right? When you collapsing all the jobs and all these different things, you're going to realize this is not your rest. So a lot of jakes are going to come in. Some of the jakes that's already in is going to fall out. Some of the ones that's not out is going to come in, and then some of them are going to come in and they still going to fall out. So it's going to be an interesting thing. It says throughout all the land of Egypt, and gathered stubble instead of straw. So then that's when you're gonna be trying to find whatever little job you can get. Well, it ain't straw, it ain't this good stuff. So I just gotta work these little odd end jobs, right? And people have been talking about that. Why you don't see teenagers at teenagers' jobs, right? The little bagger at the grocery store should be a little teenager. The ones at McDonald's should be a teenager. You know, corporate jobs and all these different things, should be for Americans and for adults. All these other warehouses and things and jobs like that where you're driving forklifts and diesels and all that's about they wiping that all out. All right, so now you got to get a job wherever you can get it. Yeah, come back here. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 4. It says, because of the multitude of thy whoredoms, right? All your different sins, because basically sin is transgression of the law, right? Which you wasn't really given the law, but you did take a hold of the Bible, the scriptures. And then you even broke just regular laws, like earthly laws, cutting down the trees and certain things like that. You broke the law, and that's basically it's like it's considered like adultery, it's whoredom, right? Of the well-favored harlot, right? Which that's this America, Babylon the Great, spiritually Sodom, spiritually Egypt, right? Assyria, and also Nineveh, right? So we're gonna go into that, showing that this is also Nineveh. It says the mistress of witchcraft, right? And they're always constantly doing that through NASA, right? They tell you that they have all these different things through the science. They try to tell you they went to the moon, and then through their own mouth talks about the Van Allen belt, which there's a radiation belt that you can't get through to even get to the moon. But then they'll throw in that they've been to the moon, so they showed you a fake video and made it look like they walked to the moon, which it's all witchcraft, right? They put things in the education books to get you to teach you, and then teach you from the time you're a kid about white supremacy the whole time, to make themselves seem great, and then give you a month or give you a day. Hey, we'll give you Cinco de Mayo Day. We'll give you, okay, you black, you've been so-called through great oppression. We'll give you a month, right? But we'll ignore that you're the people of the book, right? Which is witchcraft. We'll just ignore that you're the people of the book, right? Right? Through the mistress of witchcraft, which selleth nations, right? And they'll do apartheid, destroy a nation, come in, and now they're crying that they're getting moved out, right? Selleth nations through her whoredoms, right? They'll go in there and take down one president or whatever leader who comes against their agenda, kills him, puts in another leader that will go with their program, which basically that's a way of selling the nation, selling them, putting up a sellout, which is selling the nations, so they could so-called benefit. But somehow you're still at the bottom. You're still not the greatest country in the world. After all that stuff, right? You Edomites, so it's not just the regular Edomite, you British Edomite, you French Edomites, right? Australian Edomites, Canadian Edomites, you Edomites that's just in all the places, man. The Lord is going to have to cause the world to hate you, right? Through her whoredoms and sold nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. Saying they sold families, right? And we found out that America is the primary. Well, they try to say it was just a third party, but it's the primary place for human trafficking. Human trafficking. They found out that America plays a great part in a human trafficking, but no one's saying anything about that, right? No one's putting America's foot to the fire about the human trafficking. But it says, but behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem Kodash of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, right? The Lord's going to lift up your skirt, so to speak, expose you for the weak, degenerate, freaking. You're the one who freak off, man. You're the reason why human trafficking is all around the world is because of you. But then you want to put Diddy on trial, right? You're the real true freak off, man. So the Lord is going to lift up your skirt, put it over your face, discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, right? Which is your shame, your ridiculous lies, all your witchcraft, because you always make it look good, smoke and mirrors. But we're going to show you that it's just it's a so-called magic trick, right? Which is no trick at all. It's just an illusion, right? Right? And the kings thy shame, right? So all these other nations, that's why they're looking at you like, I don't like this. Nah, we ain't dealing with the dollar, with the American dollar anymore. We ain't dealing with this. We ain't dealing with America. We don't care about America, right? And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock, right? So everybody gonna be looking at you laughing, man, right? Right? You're gonna be mockery, right? Right? Really, all you nations are, but starting with Esau, Edom, right? With America, because America got to be destroyed, right? Because this is also known as Nineveh, right? And we're going to show you right here. It says, and it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee. And a lot of people are going to leave out of America, right? Matter of fact, Japan, which is supposed to be their ally, has the Subaru, and that Subaru company, they actually have a factory here making Subarus in America, which they're going to leave, which that would have been, because I wonder why Trump ain't speaking on that, or even talking to them and trying to figure out a way that they can keep that Subaru factory here. That way it keeps jobs. See, but they're not really out to do that, bro. They're not out they're not for us. They're not for the American people. They're for the rich, right? And they shall flee from thee, saying, Nineveh, right, which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, daughter of Babylon, spiritually Sodom, spiritually Egypt, right, and also spiritually known as what? Nineveh, is laid waste, right? And that's what's going to happen, man. This place is going to lay waste. No jobs, no this. People are going to be rioting, fighting, all these different things. They're going to push the Karagma. World War III is going to happen. They're going to shoot the missiles, and this place is out of here, bro. And it's pretty much out of here now, right? Who will bemoan her, right? So once this place is in a low condition, that's why they're going to say, have you become weak as we, right? Have you became a third world country too, right? Whence shall I seek comfort for thee? So hey, when is anybody going to look for comfort for you? It's not going to happen, right? Because you laughed and mocked and talked about you were the richest country in the world and you were the best country in the world. Says, are thus better than populace? No. So you're not better. You're not better than any other place in the world. You're going to find out that other places are way better than America, right? Among the rivers that had the waters round about it, right? So this thing got oceans, got ocean on this side, ocean got rivers, you got the Great Lakes, you got a lot of great things going on. But is your country better than? Nah, no, it's not better, right? Whose ramparts was the sea, and her walls as from the sea, right? And that's ultimately what America is. The ocean has been America's wall, and that's why what's his name? Zelensky, right? The fake Ukraine president, right? The wag the dog president said you have an ocean between you. You feel, you don't feel now, but later you will feel, right? Really, because you're talking about those ICBM missiles, right? Because really, when you go up to here, when it talks about the bright sword, it's talking about the ICBM missiles, right? Because it is talking about like I said, the troops, right? Because they are going to bring in martial law. The troops, they're going to have their guns and their rifles, but also ultimately it's going to be what? The ICBM missiles, and the horse, right? Lifted up both what? Bright sword and glittering spear, which is actually speaking of the ICBM missiles, right? Yeah, so this is Joel chapter 2, verse 3. It says, a fire that devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth the land, right? Which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, right? Spiritually, the daughter of Babylon, spiritually Sodom, spiritually Egypt, and what? And Nineveh, right? Because the thing that's been protecting this, the walls, the sea has been their walls, right? And it says, yeah, the land is as the Garden of Eden before, right? I mean, it's like a paradise. It's beautiful. It's nice. But is it better than Populous? No. Like you got better places. Japan, Russia. There's no filth. There's no graffiti. There's no. The women are trying to absorb authority over a man. The children are more in control, right? And do people make mistakes and do this and break rules and stuff? I mean, that happens, right? But for overall structure of the place, it's far more in order than this place here. But is this place beautiful? Yeah, man, it's very beautiful, right? Eden meaning paradise, right? So it's like a paradise. It's beautiful. Before them, but behind them, a desolate wilderness. So when the missiles hit, man, it's gonna turn this place into a desert. Yea, and nothing shall escape. So a lot of you people, you're not gonna escape this thing. The appearance of them, right, to prove that the missiles that was talking about the horsemen. So just to show you that the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, right, and horsemen, so shall they run. See, and that's ultimately what I was talking about. I was talking about the ICBM missiles. But of course, you have like I said, you're gonna have the military too, right? Yeah. So this is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds," right? And this is their rulership. This is their rulership. This is Esau's rest. That's the reason why it's the greatest wealth transfer in history, or one of them, right? And they're at rest. They're good. They're good with it. They're gonna make it harder and harder for you to find a job until you can't find any jobs. It's proper reaction solution. Oh yeah, well, by the way, we do got this universal basic income that comes with the digital ID that comes eventually with putting it biometrics, because that's what they keep speaking to you about the biometrics, right? Which is subdermal underneath your skin, right? You're gonna swipe your hand or your forehead, your right hand, your left hand, or your forehead. It's gonna be there. That is the mark of the beast, whether you accept it, believe it, hate it, or not. Hey, it's really gonna be up to the Most High, whether you receive it or not, right? So, and it says when the morning is light, right? Because they're in their morning and we're in darkness right now, right? We have gross darkness to people. A lot of you don't know what's going on, and we're trying to wake you up to understand the things that's going on. Hey, it ain't for your betterment, right? Not even you Edomites, you so-called white people, you regular so-called Joe Schmo, six-pack Joe Edomite. Hey, they ain't looking out for you. But you're gonna be in your white supremacy mentality because they're supposed to give you a gun and a badge, which ultimately gonna mean nothing when the ICBM missile come, right? They're gonna mean a damn thing. So it says, and morning is light, so that's in their rulership. They practice it, right? And what was the CV-19? Was the CV-19 not practice? They practice it because it is in the power of their hand. It says, and here we go, and they covet fields and take them by violence, right? And they take over different countries. They go over and to Haiti, to the Congo. They're in all these different places. They're trying to take over Venezuela, trying to do all sorts of different things to enrich themselves, but just completely destroy the land, right? Right? And what did they do to America? They conquered and took America by violence. And now what they really ready to do? And houses. So now they're ready to take you people out of your houses. Sold you the American dream, and now, hey, you can't afford your house, get out. Go live in the streets. We don't care. We don't care if there ain't no jobs. We don't care. We're gonna have AI. We're gonna have AI everything, right? Delivery men, police officers, firemen. Hey, bro, they ready to have it all. They feel they don't need you no more, right? And take them away, so they oppress a man. See, and that's what they're about to do. It's about to be a full court press, man. Right? Oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, man. They about to whew, they about to come down. And ultimately, they did that to, well, the whole world, right? You go to Australia, and all of a sudden you murder the what they call Aborigines, right? And now you're the original person. You're the Australian. You're the person who, just makes all the rules in the land. Push them. Yeah, they basically pushed them off onto like a reservation too, so to speak, and just control everything like it's theirs, right? And you've been doing that around the whole entire world. But yeah, you destroy a man and his house, even oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, and that's what they're about to do, right? With this, bringing in the Nicaragua. Basically, it's ultimately what this is about: starve you out, leave you homeless, leave you helpless, leave you desperate, ultimately. And now you're desperate to somehow get some relief, and a lot of people are going to bow down and get that charagma. But the elect is not. So with all that, I'm going to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, to the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. And a Baba Ball, Kwame Charlotte.